most importantly, to provide updates and announce the future of the caregiving program. I just spent some time with really passionate advocates and it justly went over. I was late, but I wanted to be able to hear them out about a program that I think Lanny said was 20 years in the making. Caregivers have a long legacy here in Canada as they're instrumental in helping families take care of loved ones. They help us raise our kids and we as parents, so that we as parents can go to work. When we struggle to find necessary care for our seniors, they're here to support us. With the aging demographics in this country, this is something that is an increasing reality, not a decreasing one. Certainly not lost on me that the majority of caregivers that come to Canada tend to be women who are leaving their homes, often leaving their own children to take care of our children. I can assure you that these sacrifices are not going unnoticed as my department works to improve the caregiver program. If there's anything from the discussion, the passionate discussion today, is that there is more work to be done. Thousands of caregivers have come to Canada, started new lives and built new communities. However, the reality is that despite their hard work, they've faced and continue to face barriers in obtaining their permanent residency status. Earlier today, I met, or just a few minutes ago, we concluded a meeting with current and past caregivers who told me their journeys and challenges to Canada. Teresa, who's there among us today, told us her story about how she works during the day to take care of kids for a family in Toronto, but at night has to take courses to pass the very onerous language requirements and the ones that are even more onerous in similarly situated circumstances. In June 2014, the Live-In Caregiver program had an inventory of about 60,000 people. Today, we've processed over 99% of those. And I'm pleased to share that we virtually eliminated the backlog of the legacy Live-In Caregiver program. While we diligently phased out the program that no longer served their purpose, we created pathways to pave the way for caregivers to ensure their continuity. The home support worker and home child care provider pilots are specific examples of this. Launched in 2019, these pilots have attracted significant interest. In 2023 alone, Canada admitted over 3,000 caregivers and their family members to help provide care to seniors, children, and provide support in the home. In 2024, so this year, almost 2,000 more caregivers and their families became permanent residents. While these pilots have attracted many qualified individuals and their families in Canada and help provide in-home care, the need for caregivers, as I mentioned earlier, continues. As is the case with many programs, we've engaged directly with stakeholders and caregivers and identified ways to significantly shift the program to better suit the needs of Canadian families and employers and to improve the program's support for newcomers. Today, I'm very pleased to announce that we are launching new pilots that will provide permanent residency status for caregivers as soon as they arrive in Canada. The biggest change coming in these new pilots will be providing a one-step immigration process. Before, caregivers first needed to get work permits and then obtain work experience before applying for permanent residency. Under the new rules, we're simplifying the process and providing them with a clear, straightforward pathway to stay and care for our loved ones. The change will notably provide more autonomy for caregivers to leave workplaces with abusive situations and seek opportunities to advance in the care sector. And Lord knows I've heard a lot of those stories, not only today, but in the past, as we've been listening and reaching out to people that have been providing that support and have been in abusive situations. I'm also pleased to share that we are lowering, out of fairness, the language requirements to Canada Language Benchmark 4 under these new PR on arrival pilots. Our aim is to strike a balance between breaking down the barriers caregivers face to get PR and selecting newcomers who will be resilient to changes in the labor market. Lowering the language requirements is a must-needed change that we've heard directly from the community on, and will align with other programs in my department, as well as provincial programs, creating better consistency and fairness for all applicants. Caregivers will still have the needed language skills to work in the caregiving field. Let me be clear about that. And finally, as we look to address the desperate need for caregivers, we're also expanding the pilot programs from private household employers now to also include organizations who will directly employ home care workers. This will allow for and not-for-profit organizations to provide jobs, job offers, and help address home care needs where labor shortages exist. But let me be clear, we're not including placement agencies. For decades, generations of foreign domestic workers and caregivers have fought hard for this recognition. I believe these changes will provide families with the services they need and continue to advance protections for home care workers. This is something that's long overdue, and this is one of our ways to tell home care workers that we see you and we've heard you. It's time that we create programs that work for caregivers and not leave them behind and meet the need of our communities. Thank you. Merci.